how do you know what is good in a protein bar when there are just so many different ingredients? I think by the end of this video, you'll know the few sort of flagship things that you should be looking for and the few things that you really should be avoiding. Now, Walmart doesn't have the most tremendous selection of protein bars, but still gives us enough to kind of break it all down in basics. Let's go ahead and start with Robert Irvine's Fit Crunch. Okay, this is an interesting one, and it does taste delicious, I'll give it that. But what we have to look at here is the protein blend. Okay, whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate. In the ideal scenario, I would love to have just a whey protein isolate. Whey protein concentrate is okay in a bar, but again, it's not as clean of a protein, whereas whey protein isolate is just isolated protein. Then it has soy protein isolate. That is worthless. Why would we have that in there when we have a complete protein with the whey protein? So we don't need to have that soy isolate in there, except for the fact that it's a cheaper filler. Is that a huge red flag? Kind of. It's more so just a why. Why would you do that? Vegetable glycerin you don't need to be too concerned with. I mean, it sounds like it's this terrible thing, but it's not like vegetable oils. Whereas in this case, we have vegetable oils, but they're using palm and palm kernel oil. Now, why is palm and palm kernel oil better than, say, like, I don't know, some of these other vegetable oils like sunflower oil or anything like that? Because at least it's saturated and it's more stable. Most vegetable oils are polyunsaturated, they're very unstable, or they have to partially hydrogenate them to get them there. I'm just gonna skip ahead because this one isn't terrible, but what I don't like is the maltitol. Okay, so maltitol is a sugar alcohol that is not very fun. Okay, if you eat one of these bars, you're probably going to feel a little bit of gut distress, and that's generally from the sugar alcohol of maltitol. This day and age, most brands are going to a different kind, so it's kind of interesting that we're still using maltitol. But then we get into 2% or less of the following. We have a bunch of interesting things in there. I don't want to go into a lot of detail because this is probably in the coating, but it looks like they're using sucralose in addition to maltitol. Now, what I would typically say is use one or the other. Okay, maltitol is bad for the gut because it's a sugar alcohol. Sucralose is an artificial sweetener. So there's a little bit of just confusion here, but the biggest piece is, why are you having soy protein isolate? It's not going to be, if it was a plant-based bar, I could give it a little bit of credit there. So that one, I don't know. Now let's take a look at this Metrex bar. Now this isn't necessarily going to be keto friendly or anything like that, but what are we looking for? This is a meal replacement bar. So this is going to have a lot of stuff. But look at the protein blend. The first protein blend is soy. Soy protein isolate, tapioca starch, salt, whey protein isolate, milk protein isolate, whey protein concentrate, egg white. So it's got a lot of different proteins in it, but it also has 30 grams of sugar. So it's so easy to think that all protein bars are going to be low carb, low calorie and stuff like that. No, a lot of them have a ton of sugar. So you really do need to be paying attention to that. Some of the main ingredients you really want to look for with this, we've already seen them, right? It's going to be soy protein, we don't necessarily want that. Maltitol syrup, here we are again. Fractionated palm kernel oil is not as big of a deal as it sounds, but I would still try to avoid it when you can. Canola oil, something you want to look for in protein bars. So let's go ahead and just move on. Those, again, hopefully out of this you just learn what to look for and what not. I don't know if they're gonna have a really clean version of here for us to look at. This is a popular brand, okay? Pure protein. 2 grams of sugar, which is nice. 20 grams of protein. So I think we need to investigate it. Now, as far as taste goes, these things taste delicious. But protein blend, we have milk protein isolate, partially hydrolyzed whey protein isolate, which is a great one. I would love to see that. Whey protein isolate, that's good. So the only thing that's a bummer is they have the milk protein isolate first, which frustrates me a little bit. They put the casein protein in there because the casein digests slowly. So what do we see here? Like, what do we have to be careful of? I wouldn't worry too much about the sugar being that far down. Soy lecithin you're gonna find in a lot of things. So, you know, it's not a huge deal, but what I don't like seeing is, once again, that canola oil there. So we got canola oil, we've got some of these other things. So in this one, so we see, it's kind of interesting because it's got stevia leaf extract as the sweetener. So it's kind of cool. Like, we have a little bit of sugar here and there. We have erythritol and we have stevia. So this is a hair better. Is this one perfect? No. I mean, the protein blend is not great. Let's put it this way. The first ingredient is milk protein. You're not getting like a nice, good absorbing protein out of it. If the first ingredient was whey protein isolate, I'd say it's a little bit better. But honestly, this one's not as bad as I would have thought, especially since they made the shift over to erythritol and stevia. So pure protein, so far, out of all the ones we've looked at, I would probably lean towards this one the most. One that comes up a lot is this one bar. Let's grab Almond Bliss. Let's take a look at this. This is the one bar, 1 gram of sugar, 20 grams of protein. Look at the nutrition facts there. We see 6 grams of sugar alcohol, Okay. Protein, still milk protein isolate. Just because it tastes good. So this is called IMO, isomalto oligosaccharides. I don't have too much of an issue with this whole issue. I mean, I don't have too much of an issue with IMO, but some people do because it can cause digestive upset. Basically, it acts similarly to sugar in the body, but it doesn't. But what I don't like is all the maltitol. And then I also don't like that we're repeating milk protein concentrate again. Then we go into some of these other emulsifiers. Soy lecithin's not a huge deal. And then we also have sucralose. Okay, so when you're comparing bar to bar, although this one looks more appealing because it's a nicer looking box and only 1 gram of sugar, this one's gonna be a better option. And just FYI, there's lots of good like protein bars, keto bars that are out there. Unfortunately, they're just not always at like a store like Walmart. I put a link down below for Thrive Market. If you sort by snacks with Thrive Market and then sort by keto, you can find all the low carb, kind of no sugar bars. So I would highly recommend you check that out. So there is a link down below. It's an online membership-based grocery store. They're a big supporter and sponsor of this channel. So what happens is you order from them and it gets delivered to your doorstep. So you can get all your groceries, you can get all your pantry staples for keto, for paleo, whatever. Just a huge benefit when it comes down to the bars and stuff because you can sort by what's gonna work your dietary pattern. Super awesome. And if you use that link down below, 25% off a membership, but also you're going to get a free gift when you use that link. So check it out down below in the description. And big thanks to Thrive Market. Ooh, Zone. You know, let's talk about the Zone bar for a second because these are really cool because I like the approach they're going for with the whole Zone diet, but I haven't looked at the ingredients. Whoa, okay, never mind. Brown rice syrup, corn syrup, chocolate drops, sugar. Ooh, gosh. I think you can probably already see the problem here, right? Okay, we have sodium caseinate, that's not a big deal. Soy protein isolate is the main protein source. Then we have milk protein isolate, whey protein concentrate, brown sugar. Okay, we have a bunch of carbs in here. Ooh, yeah, 18 grams of sugar. I mean, so again, step one is look at that. So let's just put that one aside. Then we have the Think bars, which used to be Think Thin, but I think they had to be politically correct and change that, which I get it. It's the world we are in today. Protein blend, soy protein isolate, once again, taking the cheap route. Whey protein is not that much more expensive, guys. I would much rather see a pea protein, and then we also have maltitol. I used to eat these, and I was wondering why I would be like seatbelted to the toilet for a couple hours after that, and now it makes sense, right? But maltitol, syrup, vegetable glycerin, almond butter, cocoa butter, sunflower oil. A lot of these things are okay. The biggest issue I face here, soy protein isolate, and the maltitol. They do have a little bit of whey protein isolate, but look how far down it is down the list. They're leading with the soy because it's cheaper. Finally, I can breathe. There was an employee over my neck for a long time, and so far Walmart's cool. They really know that I'm bringing people into the store by doing these videos. Okay, Power Crunch. This looks delicious because I love chocolate mint. Ooh, wow. Okay, so far, I'll show you a second. So far I'm pleased. So far I'm pleased. No sugar alcohols. Okay, but then when I look at the ingredients, look at this. 13 grams of carbs. Let's see, I don't know where they're coming from. We'll find out. Proto Whey proprietary blend. Okay, so we have micropeptides from high DH hydrolyzed whey protein, 40% di and tripeptides, plus whey protein isolate. So we have hydrolyzed whey protein, which means it absorbs really fast. Then we have whey protein isolate, which is again the protein isolated away from the rest of the milk proteins. That's what we're looking for. Whey protein isolate as the first ingredient, not concentrate, isolate. Then we move into milk protein isolate on the last part of the list. So it's a tri-blend there of hydrolyzed whey, whey isolate, and milk isolate. Then we have no, why? Oh my God, no. I was like so pumped on this. Okay, so we had whey protein isolate and then we had palm oil, which I was okay with. Then all of a sudden we have gluten in there. Why? Why would you do that? That's where the carbs are coming from. So because it's a crunch bar, they're using wheat. So we've got wheat flour, malted barley, nice. And I am not a fan of grains in protein bars. Rice, I can kind of understand, but gluten, there's enough evidence out there showing that gluten can elevate these proteins called zonulin, which can have an effect on how we feel. They can have an effect on lipopolysaccharides, which are basically pathogenic bacteria potentially going into our gut, all said with a grain of salt, of course. But that's frustrating because everything else looks actually pretty good. A little bit of canola oil, and then they even have allulose. Allulose is about 70% as sweet as sugar, and it competes for the same transport GLUT2 and GLUT5 transport as sugar. So when you consume allulose along with fructose and or glucose, you can potentially slow down how much sugar you actually absorb. So this can have a positive effect on your carb content. But the gluten is 100% a deal breaker for me. I can't have gluten. No one in my family has gluten. My wife has autoimmune conditions. Gluten messes her up. I have gluten. I don't feel good. You are your own advocate. You can test yourself, but I'm gonna check another flavor, but I'm gonna assume it's the crunch aspect. Yep, there we go, wheat flour. So a note to Power Crunch, your bar is great. Get rid of the wheat. Switch it to rice, switch it to tapioca, cassava, something. Get rid of the wheat. Okay, wow. Okay, we gotta touch on the Quest bars. You know, I used to bag on Quest a lot, but they've changed some things. Let's grab white chocolate raspberry. 5 grams of net carbs, 1 gram of sugar, 15 grams of fiber. Okay, so far on the surface it looks really good. I always used to say that, you know, Quest bars send you on a quest to the toilet. And that's because a lot of it is, yeah, pretty gastric upset. Here's what's interesting. Protein blend, we have milk protein isolate, which I wish they had these flipped. Milk protein isolate and whey protein isolate. If you could just flip those, it'd be a much better ratio. But then soluble corn fiber. So something interesting about soluble corn fiber is soluble corn fiber sounds terrible, but what concerns me here is it's not labeled as non-GMO soluble corn fiber. So soluble corn fiber is technically considered a fiber. It is, absolutely. It is what is called a fermentable demonstrable, and that's how the FDA measures it. Basically, if when it's broken down, it triggers an exhalation of certain gases when consumed, that means that it is a fermentable, meaning it's a fiber, demonstrable, meaning it breaks down, meaning it breaks down into fuel for the gut. So I have zero problems with soluble corn fiber. The problem I have is it is derived from corn. So if you are going to use soluble corn fiber, please, for the love of all things corn, use non-GMO, okay? It's just kind of first grade, SpongeBob. But when you get down to that, everything else looks halfway decent. Natural flavors are questionable. But then the issue we have, soluble corn fiber can be digestively upsetting for some. Combine that with erythritol, and that's where you get the digestive upset. Everything else, oh man, why? Okay, so really, look at, they have stevia, they have sucralose, then they also have soluble corn fiber, and they also have erythritol. If you're gonna use erythritol, you're implying that you're using erythritol and stevia instead of sucralose. So let's take a look at another flavor. That's frustrating because they were on the right track, and I like the guys over at Quest as people. I think there's a few things, so I just want to see, is it, yeah, also sucralose, still the same thing, not non-GMO. Birthday cake, hopeful, still sucralose. Okay, well, on that note, let's check out their cookies in this case. Soluble corn fiber, still not non-GMO. Protein blend, milk protein isolate, same protein situation, just wish that was flipped. Water, erythritol, butter, calcium caseinate, unsweetened chocolate. Here we go. Okay, there's no sucralose in this one. I would actually, so if it comes between the cookies, there's a little bit less protein, 16 grams versus 21 grams, but calorie-wise, okay, so you're definitely going to consume more calories per gram of protein for this one, but I would say as far as the ingredients, I would rather you eat a cookie than eat the bar. You're going to feel like you're doing something healthier by eating the bar. You're actually going to be better off eating the cookie. That's really wild. So I actually am pleased to see that. So stevia, erythritol blend there. That's really refreshing. Comparing cookies to cookies, we should look at this. What is this? Phenaflex? It sounds like something you'd take for your hair growth. Palm oil, rolled oats, soluble fiber, chicory root, applesauce, honey oats, partially hydrated. I do like the protein source. Soy lecithin, whey protein isolate. There's no artificial sweeteners. It's definitely not keto. And it's pretty low protein. So comparing Quest to hair growth pie, I would probably say Quest. Although that looks like they're onto something. I think they could just lower the carb content a little bit. We'd be in a good spot. A couple more quick things we're going to touch on before I let you go. Let me see. We got to jump down here really quick. as people ask about the Atkins bars all the time, when we start looking at kind of the keto world, let's take a look at one that's just a simple chocolate one. This is like a cookies and cream bar. And we have, whoa, that's a lot of ingredients. Soy protein isolate, polydextrose, maltitol. So double whammy hit there with the soy protein isolate and the maltitol. Vegetable glycerin, whey protein isolate down there, chicory root fiber, collagen. I like seeing the collagen, that bumps it up a little bit. Not a cheap protein to add into a bar, so good on them. But we also have sucralose, and I've talked about in other videos, acetylsulfame potassium triggers a pretty big insulin spike. So as far as a bar for keto, I don't think that's a good one. Let's see if we can find something. Well, in the world of keto, now Atkins is somewhat synonymous with keto for a lot of people, but I feel like there's quite a big difference. But let's touch on, oh, here's the Fat Bomb meal replacement bar from Slim Fast, specifically marketed as keto. In this case, we have, take a look at the front label here. The MCT and butter blend, I kind of like this. MCT oil, palm, coconut, peanut butter, I'm not the biggest fan of, but it's a peanut butter flavor, so whatever. Cocoa butter, I love cocoa butter. Love that that's in there. Almond butter, inulin, I like that. Soluble corn fiber, I wish it was non-GMO. But then their protein blend, whey protein isolate and milk protein isolate. Again, at least whey protein isolate is first. Then we have unsweetened chocolate with tapioca syrup, erythritol, natural flavors, peanut flour, whey protein crisps, tapioca starch, stevia. You know what? Not gonna lie, I don't like a couple of the little things, but so far, believe it or not, this is one of the better ones I've seen. That is surprising because I would have expected Slim Fast to be really coming out with some really scummy stuff. This actually doesn't look bad. Okay, so this is their bar. In fact, I wonder if I should try these. Actually, I don't know. I'll never feel good after eating that, but that's not bad. It really isn't bad. And then Slim Fast Keto, let's try the Fat Bomb. Let's try a mint chip one. These are very similar. They're probably gonna have less like soy crisps and whey crisps, but you're not gonna get the protein. Yeah, 1 gram of protein versus this having 7 grams of protein. So, I mean, in the grand scheme of like, it's a fat bomb, just as the name implies, right? It's a fat bomb, it is not a protein bar. So, you know, you go more of these in the Atkins category, you know, but anyway, you're getting this for fat. So here we have chocolate flavored coating, unsweetened chocolate, cocoa butter, inulin, erythritol. That's okay. Milk fat, stevia, leaf extract, natural flavor, MCT oil blend. So we have coconut, palm kernel, erythritol, sodium caseinate, more inulin. You're gonna have this is gonna be a gut bomb for sure. Natural cream flavor, don't know what that means. Colored with spirulina and turmeric, I like that. Sunflower and or soy lecithin as an emulsifier. Salt and peppermint oil and stevia. This is actually very good. This is actually a decent fat bomb. It's just not a protein bar. I just had to make sure I at least touched on that. And I think that really wraps it up. If you have other brands that you want me to review or anything like that, just put them down in the comment section below. As always, I'll see you tomorrow.